Hello again, Jack Sheffield, Jack the Exam Guy. We're going to be talking about a little known formula. You probably haven't been exposed to this out there in the world unless you did a lot of driveways or something in that nature. Or maybe, when you did the driveway, you just had a different way of figuring this out. But on the test, you need to be able to figure it out this way. We're talking about a flare. All right, so let me show you what we're talking about. This little baby right here, let me get my pointer out. There we go. Okay, so we're talking about, let's get that a little bit better. There we go. So we're talking about this area right in here. That's what they call a flare. And I'll show you a little bit better right there. There you go. So I've got this highlighted for you so you know what I'm talking about. This is a flare. And if we want to calculate the area of this particular shape, then what do we have to do? We have to subtract the flare out of this rectangle. It's actually pretty easy calculation if you know the formula for the flare. So we're going to figure out what the flare is, 0.215 times our radius, our radius squared. They give us our radius right there. And we get 48.375 or 48.38. Now, if I haven't mentioned this before, generally, I round off, and I suggest you do too, to two digits to the right of the decimal point. There are going to be exceptions to that rule from time to time, or you can just leave the number in your calculator and calculate from there. It's up to you, but two digits to the right of the decimal is usually where you want to be. Okay, so we have the 25 by 40. All right, that's pretty simple. We know that that would be, if that were a complete rectangle, it would be 25 by 40. All right, and then we're going to subtract the flare. No big deal. 1,000 by minus 48.38, 951.62 square feet. Well, that's pretty cool. Now you may just get this particular shape, and it could be that simple. Or you might, how are you going to use this in the real world, or how might you use this on a little more complicated type of a question? Now, remember, this flare is just the square footage. If you were going to have to figure out volume, you would have to multiply that 0.215 r squared times your depth. All right, so let's take a look at a question that you might get. So let's say we were going to calculate the cubic yards of concrete needed for this driveway if it were 4 inches thick. So if you feel like you're a hot shot, you can figure this out without me walking you through it. Hit that pause button and then figure it out, and then come on back and let's see if you got it right. For us humans, you can just leave the video running, and I'll take you through it. Okay, so we have a driveway that's a total of 30 feet long and 18 feet wide, and they tell us our flare typical is 15 feet. Okay, so we go to, we're going to do the body. This is the body, the 18 by 30 by 0.33 equals 178.2 cubic feet. Now you probably know this second nature, or maybe you've done enough calculations by this point, you figure this out. Remember, when we're doing calculations of any type, we always have to be using the same units. So we do 0.33 instead of 4 inches. I know you know that. But anyway, so it's 18 times 30, feet times feet times feet. 18 times 30 times 0.33 is 178.2. Since it's a three-dimensional object, it is cubic feet. Remember, this is feet. We're still doing it's feet times feet times feet. Okay, enough of that. All right, so here's our flares. 0.215 times 15 times 15. That's our formula. We got two of them, all right? And then once again, times the thickness. So we have 31.93 cubic feet. And then, so we just add those two together. We got the 178.2. We got the 0.93. We end up with 210.13 cubic feet. But what did the question ask us? It asked us in cubic yards. And this is something that you've probably been exposed to already. But if you haven't, this is a formula, this is a conversion factor you need to know. 210.13 divided by 27, there's 27 cubic feet in a cubic yard, equals 7.78 cubic yards. All right. So if you got that, that's great. If not, you might want to watch this video again. That 0.215 r squared, I got to tell you, that's kind of a hard one to remember. You got a lot of stuff to remember. You got pi r squared, you got 0.215 r squared. When you do volume, you got pi r squared h. So there's so many to remember. How you got to, I knew somebody who was really slick and they wrote 0.215 r squared on a tab and they were okay with that. So, um, this has been Jack the Exam Guy. I'm Jack Sheffield. My phone number is 904-755-4111. Call me anytime. And hey, listen, don't ever let anybody tell you you don't know Jack, because you do now. You know Jack Sheffield, Jack the Exam Guy, and he's going to help you pass this exam. I wish you the best. Thank you for your business.